Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Riff Raff, brought to you by Browning. We're sitting here with Chase Rice today, and first thing is on Saturday was the concert for Carolina,
Mm.
which looked awesome. So we would love to hear about how that went, and you guys raised $24 million, which
Yeah.
is not a small thing. So
No,
I'd love to hear about your experience, how it was.
it was special. Yeah, it was one of the nights you're like, while it's happening, you're like, damn, this is never gonna happen
Hmm.
again. James Taylor, the whole lineup was just like, man, this is wild. But yeah, you're just like, damn, I don't want this to end. It's
Yeah.
like, and even this morning, I was sitting on my front porch, talking to somebody about the whole weekend. It was just like, it was just, yeah, you didn't want it to end. It
One of
was,
my favorite moments I think I saw a video of was Eric Church and Sheryl Crow singing Picture.
oh, did they?
Yeah, I'm like, that is awesome. Like, no other time are you ever going to see something like that. And I
Right.
actually just went to North Carolina for the first time myself, and that stadium looked so cool. So,
Yeah, they've done a good job with it. It's an older stadium, but
hmm.
they've done it. It looked like they must have redone everything. It's a freaking awesome stadium. I didn't get to see the Eric and Cheryl thing. I didn't see Cheryl at all.
Oh, really?
Got to see James. That was sick. It was just this. Is Cheryl from North Carolina?
I honestly don't know.
That's a good question.
No,
Yeah,
she
I
is,
don't
but
know.
it didn't matter. Yeah, it was just everything was so messed up from the weather,
Hmm.
which go figure weather would delay this whole thing. But they did. Luke's crew did such a good job. First of all, putting it together in the short amount of time they did, and uh, and just how well they did,
Hmm.
just piecing everything together. And then Cappy's coming up to me before the show saying, "All right, we want to keep everybody playing the same amount of songs we were supposed to, so we're going to change it." Me and Parmalee ended up playing together. It was supposed to be me, them, and Scotty together. But we were supposed to go on at 5:15, so I'm sitting there drinking vodka at 4:30. Get a little edge before you go on. You're
Yeah.
playing acoustic to an entire stadium. Like Eric's done that a bunch. I haven't done that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've played stadiums, but you got your band and
Mhm.
you're comfortable with that. But I'm playing Hall River and Carolina Can, which are two songs that Hall River, I've only played it once live acoustic. Carolina Can, I haven't played in years. So I'm like, man, okay, like, don't screw this up. This is also live
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
TV.
an important one.
Yeah, very important one. So it was just a wild night of just figuring out, okay, well, let's lay off the vodka for now. Let's go get dinner. I didn't play till 9:45, I don't think,
Oh,
9:30.
wow.
Wow.
So we were down below deck, waiting for Eric to be done with his set, and the Parmalee guys are warming up. I'm down there just going over my spots, just not trying to run it over. Don't be nervous. I was, but then by the time we went on, I'm like, I'm not nervous at all anymore. I just want
Hmm.
to play.
Yeah.
Like at this point, we've waited a long time, throughout the day, and the fans had too at that point. I mean, that was a long night for them, but it was just stacked with such cool, unique, different things. It was cool to hear the recordings back of like videos of friends or whoever took of Carolina Can, because I couldn't hear anything. I'm in my ears and I'm just
Hmm.
singing, trying to sing as best I can. And it was a hard one to get through because I'm from right there in Fairview where I got wiped out. And night before, my coach Craig, you know, took me down past my house a couple miles. There's a place called Craigtown, and all his houses are wiped out. Childhood home, parents were killed, sister was killed. I'm sorry, but it was. And then I started talking about that, and it was hard to get through. But um, yeah, it was cool seeing those videos back of that song, and a lot of people were singing. That was never single, but they were singing the hell out of it.
Yeah, anything Carolina
Right.
that night, I'm
And
sure was massive.
and obviously, like a lot of people have seen videos and pictures of the devastation, but can you talk on like what you saw whenever you went through, a community that you were familiar with? Like it's not recognizable anymore,
Not
right?
recognizable. Yeah, you go down to past my house. It's on Old Fort Road in Fairview, and you go. I think it's 2 miles. You take it right on Flat Creek Road, and that's where Craigtown is. At 23 fire station there. That luckily they had that, so we parked up there. They had a checkpoint with police and everything. Coach Craig it's his town, so he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, he took us in the side by side, showed us where his mom and dad's house was, where his childhood home was,
Hmm.
and they're gone. But he took us down the road, which is covered in mud, and the bridge is gone, so we had to take another route. But um, houses are gone. It was just weird. Cars. He had a '69, I think, Oldsmobile or Camaro. I don't know what it was, but he was restoring that, and that thing was just a pile of metal. on the side of the road. Then he drove past the creek a little bit, which is now back to being a creek. Like he said, he'd never seen it flood before, and obviously that's what washed everything out.
Mhm.
But he's talking stories of fishing. You know, he used to always fish in that creek or river, or whatever it is. It's wild just hearing him talk because he's talking fine, but you know he's not. I mean, he lost 11 family members.
Yeah.
So, you know, drive by another pile of rubble that's got a mattress on top. You got Carhartts down here on the side of the road, shoes everywhere. And you know, he's pointing out, you know, this is where they found my dad. It was about a mile down from where the house was. Another mile down, this is where I found my mom. So it was just gnarly hearing those stories. It's hard to comprehend it while you're looking at it.
Mhm.
And then after that, we went to Britton Tilson down on the river, which is down in Biltmore. My best friend in the world from high school, Matt Burns, worked for Britton Tilson, and Billy Britt and Bill Britt owned it. He was my little league football coach, and Billy and I won a state championship together. And they're just showing me their building where it was. It's cool. The one cool thing, Matt found an American flag. It wasn't theirs, but something washed down. Found the American flag, put it up on the rubble, and I take pictures on a Leica camera.
Mhm.
I just started doing it about a year ago, so I'm not that good. We'll find out if I got anything good. Just dropped the film off, but I took a bunch of pictures of all that and them just standing amongst the rubble and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. Hopefully, make a picture book or whatever. You know,
Mhm.
coffee table, sell that, and all the money's gonna go straight to those two. Because we raised 24 million, but I don't know how much of that's gonna go to Craigtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when something like that is so personal to you, is that something you get a call and you get asked to and you're immediately like, yes? Or is that something that you were like, no, I want to be a part of it?
No, that was Luke. I was in Montana, and
Mhm.
Luke texted me and said, "Hey, buddy, we're gonna do this thing. Here's the date." And funny enough, I'd turned down like 4 different things that weekend.
Mhm.
I don't know why. I just turned them down. I was like, "No, I want that weekend off." And then when he asked, I was like, "Whatever you need, man, I'm there."
Yeah.
So, and it was easy for me. I sang 2 songs, and we got up there and sang Caroline at the end, Eric's song,
Mhm.
and it was it was a special night. It was cool to know Coach Craig, his whole family was in the crowd.
Oh, nice.
Coach Laws, the head coach down there, was in the crowd. A lot of the coaches were there. A lot of the people were there. And the night before, I went to the football game, my high school football game. We won, so that was good to see. Um, yeah, it was a special weekend, and a lot of good can come from this type of thing. Where it's I hadn't talked to them. I mean, we stay in touch, but I haven't talked to them like I have over the last few days or a
Mhm.
few weeks, in years. So it's back in touch. Go hunting this fall and try to get their lives back to somewhat normal. It'll never
Yeah.
be the same again, but
Yeah.
just good to be back in touch with them.
And it's crazy to see, like, as divided as the world is, it's like really cool to see the country music community come together for something and actually like
Yeah,
work on something together that
yeah.
everyone can agree
We've
on.
got this Carolina connection. A
Yeah.
lot of guys and gals from Carolina never done something together. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it was cool to see everybody drop their pride for a little bit, and
Mhm.
this ain't about us anymore. It's about trying to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that amount of devastation, obviously, there are a lot of things that can be replaced, but for you all to raise
Yeah,
$24 million for an event that was just put together in a matter of what, maybe 6 weeks,
yeah,
something like that, it's remarkable. So
Mhm.
we wanted to, obviously congratulate you on being a part of that, and I know that it's one of those probably thankless things too. You probably would have done it, regardless of the situation. So
yeah. I said it on stage. I was like, I'm here for 2 reasons. First of all, because Luke asked, um, and second of all, because I just got to see what the reality of what
mhm.
just happened is,
Mhm.
and that gave me a whole perspective of why we were doing what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, to change pace a bit, we want to talk to you, of course, about some of your music. Whiskey Riff's a big fan of you. We know, or I guess we wanted to kind of open the floor to you to talk about the evolution of your music, because you could you could say as a listener, it's kind of switched
Yeah,
from one thing to another. So I don't want to speak for you, but just wanted to open the floor to the transition that you've had in the style of music that you have put out.
yeah. It was an interesting route for my whole career. I just listened randomly last night. I was smoking in my back porch, listening to an album I put out 2012, maybe called Dirt Road Communion, and it wasn't great, but there were signs of like, oh, I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And then right around that time was when we wrote Cruise. And Cruise was the biggest blessing and curse that I could ask for because we're in there, write it, Joe Moore produces it, it blows up, and I'm like, fuck. this is cool.
Yeah.
And that was when bro country became a thing. And love it or hate it, it was a thing, and it was huge.
It was
And it
huge.
did bring a lot of new eyes to country music. But
But how do you feel about that label, right? Because you're saying it's a blessing and a curse. So bro
I
country,
I don't really care. It's a good name for it.
yeah.
I feel like it's pretty proper. Um, and I earned every bit of that, being a part of that. I don't shy away from that at all. But the problem with what I was doing was I was clueless. Like, why wouldn't I have been? I learned to play guitar in 2006.
A lot more recent than people would probably think.
I'd never played guitar
Yeah.
before. A lineman at Carolina he'd play Dave Matthews and stuff in the dorm rooms, and I'd sing along to some country stuff. He would learn. He'd be like, "Dude, you should be a country singer." I'm like, "Okay, that's like saying I'll be an astronaut." Like,
Yeah.
it was that far from reality. I was a football player,
Mhm.
and so I learned on his guitar. Ended up buying a cheaper guitar and learning on that in the dorms, and then I moved to Nashville not too long after that. After I got hurt playing football. And then I moved into Brian and Tyler's house, who were doing their thing. They taught me a lot about writing songs. And whether you loved them or hated them at first, man, it was just like they're doing something different. The problem with what they were doing different was like, all right, I want to do that now. But looking back, I don't really fault myself for that because I didn't know any better. That's how I learned to write songs, and those guys taught me a lot about writing, co-writing, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I didn't want to do. I just knew this is cool. It's different. Tracks became a thing right around that time. And that was something new. It was like, oh, I don't have to write songs on a guitar. I can just write. I don't even touch. I didn't learn to play Ready, Set, Roll on guitar until like 4 years ago,
Mhm.
which is crazy. I didn't need to. I had the band. I don't think I played it on the record. Probably wasn't good enough to play it on the record back then. But I was so clueless to what I wanted to do that I just went with it. And we just threw a bunch of stuff out there. Looking back, it's like somebody should have grabbed a hold of me and said, dude, this is what. And Eddie, my manager, he really, and Bruce too, they really knew that there's something really cool that happens when it's just me and a guitar. But I wish they would have said back then, like, let's see if we could do this instead. But they didn't know either. And they, obviously, as managers, you're wanting to have success, and we were having success. So I rode that wave as long as I could ride it. But um, for me, there was always something off because I loved Eric. I loved Jay Joyce and what they were doing. I always wanted to try to do something like that. And when I talked to Jay, he's like, dude, I don't want to hear a demo. I just want to hear you and a guitar. I'm like, okay, well, Chris already did the demo. It's already recorded. I'm just going to put that out. And it took me till about 2018 to where I finally started going back and recording stuff into my phone like I used to do in the beginning. And then through 2020, I got in a bunch of trouble for doing the show. And that was weird, but
Weird time.
it was a weird time.
Yeah.
But that I kind of hit a wall. I did this interview with Paul Feinbaum on ESPN in 2020 after all that happened. And I was at dinner with my Navy buddies, and they were doing a charity dinner. And I went up to them. I was like, guys, I got to go home. I'm not good. I don't know what's going on in my brain right now, but I got to go home. So I went home that night, deleted social media off of my phone, and watched the Springsteen documentary, and then wrote a song called If I Were Rock and Roll that night by myself. And I hadn't written by myself in 10 years. And I'm like, okay, that was different. Sent it to my manager. He was like, what the fuck? What?
Where'd this come from?
But he knew it was
Yeah.
in there. And 2 weeks later, I wrote a song called Life Part of Living, which was all part of the Cowboys record. Then I wrote a song called Bench Seat about my dog and my best friend who almost killed himself. And his dog saved his life. And it's like, okay, these are cool for down the road. I still had that mindset of like down the road. It's like by then I was probably 36 years old. And throughout all that, I just kind of was like, man, I'm not really having. I've worked my ass off to chase this radio game and to chase whatever's popular, whether it was FGL, then Sam Hunt came out. I was like, oh, I get to be Sam Hunt. Ed Sheeran, I was like, got an Ed Sheeran phase where it's like tighter pants. I'm like, dude, you can't play like Ed or sing like him. Stop trying to be these other people. And that was the record that really we took it to Jay finally after all these years of talking with him. He was like, all right, now we're talking. Go in there, record 2 songs, and he was adamant about, like, I don't have the energy or time right now to do a full album. Maybe he just didn't like me. I don't know. Me and Jay got along great though. But I learned a lot from him through that process.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout all that, there was a guy named Arturo Buenajora, he's co-producer on a lot of Eric's stuff, I think. But he kept saying, don't work with Jay. Like, Jay's busy right now. Not that Jay's not great. Jay's one of the best to ever do it. But there's a kid named Oscar Charles. I really think you and him would vibe. He's younger, he's hungry, and he's different. And so through that, worked with Jay. Didn't work out for a full album, and that's when we went back to the drawing board with Oscar. Oscar came into my house. We met for the first time. I talked bench seat with him, told him the whole story behind it. And we started, like, tearing up, like, broing out. Like, we had a really good conversation. And he said, well, where would you want to record this thing? And he spun around in his chair. I said, I don't want to do Nashville. I don't want to do Broadway or 16th Avenue and all that, the typical recording studios.
Mm-hmm.
He spun around his chair and looked up at my living room. He's like, what's wrong with this? It's like, oh, fuck yeah. Now we're talking.
Comfort.
Yeah.
Home.
It was just like, let's do something weird.
Yeah.
And got the permission from the label to work with a producer I'd never worked with to do it in my house. And another cool part of that was I was a huge fan of Boy Named Banjo already.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening to Boy Named Banjo, Flatland, a bunch of William Clark Green, a bunch of stuff that I just stopped listening to radio.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that I'd love Oscar because I love the Boy Named Banjo records. And so we did that record, did it well. We were pretty clueless, but it was fun. We had an awesome time. And that was the start. I think a lot of people heard that album and they're just like, what is he doing? And even if people liked it, they probably weren't giving me the chance yet because they're like, oh, he's just trying something new. For me, it wasn't about trying something new. It was about finally, how do we create something that only I could record? And then the process of making the deluxe version of the Cowboys record, where we did it at Oscar's house at that point. I think we did 5 or 6 songs. And within 1 week, we got a call, no CMA noms, which I wasn't shocked about. I've never had one. And I didn't feel like I didn't earn the right to even be up for something like that. But I did know the bench seat video was good enough. Like, it was an unbelievable video.
It was a great video.
So didn't get that. They pulled Bad Day to Be a Cold Beer off the radio all within like 3 days of us recording. And then the final straw was they were like, we got the budget back for the deluxe version of Cowboys, and they declined it. They said, we can't record yet. We got to go back and do another single off the Cowboys record. I was like, guys, you couldn't get Bad Day to Be a Cold Beer past 47. You're not going to get anything else off this record on the radio. So I was like, all right, Oscar, I got this song called Go Down Singin. I wrote it with Blake in Carolina. Let's record that. It'll be the last song of the night. And let's turn this fucking thing into a full album. And I'm going to leave my label. And he was all about that. And we're just going to do this on my own and on our own. And that's how that turned into a full album. It kind of became the second part of the Cowboys record because, the Picture My Dad, Picture Me. And then Fireside just came out, which is all of them acoustic together featuring the songwriters. One take type things. And then that's the conclusion of that 3-album series. And that all kind of happened by accident. But throughout all that, we've learned a lot. Like, Oscar and I have learned a lot of how to work together. Those records are really good. I hear stuff still that I'm like, damn, we could have done this better. But this next record we wrote on accident in Colorado. It was me, Wyatt McCubbin, and Oscar. And we wrote 3 days, and we wrote 9 songs. It's like, man, let's not overthink this. Let's just put another record out. So December, we're going to go and record. It's called Eldora. We wrote it near Eldora, Colorado. It's very Western themed because that's where we were. But, and that's where I live like half the year. So, up in Montana. But that's also changed because I'm not going to Broadway every night. Like, and then not singing songs as a kid anymore, trying to be like, what do these people want to hear that hypes them up? It's just, now I'm just writing songs about whatever's going on in my life. So, that'll come out. And we're going to do that one differently because we've learned from the last 2. Like, what's our favorite thing? Especially the Fireside sessions. We learned a lot from that. My favorite thing is me and a guitar. So, and that's what we based a lot of those last group of songs on. We'd get me and a guitar and then build the band around that. So we're going to do this one different, where we're literally just going to do me and a guitar. Me and a guitar, and then we'll build what needs to be around it. Some of them may not need anything. Some of them may need a full band to come in and be around it, but it's gonna be a lot more raw than even the last 2 albums we did.
Yeah.
And it's heading that way. And the most fun I'm having is it's so free when you're in the studio and you're not thinking like, oh, well, this is what radio's playing right now. Let's figure out how to get in that vein, or this is what's popular. Let's try to be Zach Bryan, like, or Morgan Wallen, or whoever. It's like, no, let's create something that only we could do.
Yeah.
And that's a fun mindset to have when you're recording an album.
And something that you said earlier is you wish maybe someone would have just come up to you and shaken you and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, like, let's try to find a different path." But it sounds to me like you figured that out on your own.
Yeah.
Whether that was just like a aha moment or whatever it was. But now looking back with some hindsight, do you find comfort in knowing that you are the one that kind of directed yourself down a different path?
I'm not sure anybody else could have done it.
Yeah.
I think it had to be on me. And COVID happening was a massive thing to change my life and my career. Yeah, nobody could have maybe they would have if they'd have tried to direct me back then. I don't know. I'm sure I'd have listened, and part of me wouldn't have. But yeah, I don't know what made me go down some of those roads. Like, there's a couple songs where I'm like half rapping in, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
I think I used to live in California, then Colorado. So I've like been in the same areas, and I think I was in college, and I went to go see one of your shows at the desert of California at like one of the fairs that was going
Right.
on, and I saw you front row, and that crowd was completely different than like the music you're putting out now. So
Yeah.
it's just crazy to see the difference and everything. But when you talk about Colorado in this next album, what like themes, you said it's like Western, but like is there anything else that's like big in there?
Well, it's story songs. I can write a story.
Mhm.
I think I'm also gonna do an album at some point of either songs that I put out or probably songs that I put out that were maybe recorded wrong. But I want to redo Carolina Can. I want to redo Jack Daniels and Jesus. I don't know what else, but I listened to a song last night called "Saved Me." That's an unbelievable
Mhm.
song. People just don't know about it, or maybe we didn't promote it right, or it just wasn't good enough the way we recorded it. But "Forever to Go" is another one, sick. Um, I want to do that too. But anyway, to get back to the Eldora thing, it's stories. Eldora is about a couple that just can't hold it together, and he's back in Tennessee and she's in Colorado, and the whole song is about him driving back to Colorado to like, look, we did this thing. Um, we got to live with what we did,
Mhm.
and let's move on from it. We're still in love. I'm coming back, and the whole thing leads to one line that says, "In the distance, I see Denver lights between the pines of Bingham, Red Rock highs. Even nights like that couldn't save us then, so we said goodbye for what we did. But we were just two kids with too much life to live." And that's the one line that hints that this couple had this abortion. They were young, and let's move past that and fix this thing. And that's one of my favorite songs on. It's called Eldora. Bought a guitar, 1922 Martin, that we're gonna record that one with. Named that guitar Eldora. So it's all about Eldora right now, seemingly. Another one of my favorites called Circa 1943. Talks about this couple, Harold and Bernice, who are my grandparents, and we fictionalized their story. Their story wasn't what happened in the song, but meet at World War II, and he gets shot up, and yeah, they end up falling in love. She's the nurse, takes care of him, brings back to life, and it all leads to him basically saying, I don't, there's no, we don't want to say goodbye. Like, when this thing is over, by the way, if you ever make it to Superior, Montana, my brother's band sure bangs around most Tuesday nights. It's like, it's the story of when this thing's over, you come see where I'm from in Montana. And my buddy had a cover show in Superior, Montana, and that's how I created this story. But yeah, it all leads to what happens there at the end when she finally does go to Superior, Montana. I'll let you hear the song first before I give that away. But man, it's just a cool story that's like, some story songs are kind of hard to follow. This
Mhm.
one's not. It's like, what happens? What happens in the end? What happens to this couple? Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs I've probably ever done. And I played it at the Bluebird last week, and it was just like, fuck, this is gonna be so fun live.
I always find it really interesting to see like the songwriting process behind it, especially like you said, it's like based off your grandparents, might not be their story,
Right.
but like how you got there. I mean, I don't know how open you are about your personal dating life. Do you think that those experiences also bleed into it?
The dating
Yeah,
life?
yeah, your dating life.
No, no.
No, never. No.
No, that would just be a blank song for 3 minutes. Um, yeah, I figured out every way to screw up my dating life. I've partied my ass off for 12 years, and I've loved being single. I've had some relationships that didn't work out. I wasn't ready. And I was you, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what my life has been the last 10 years, and it's been not self-induced, but yeah, I'm finally at a place where at some point here we're gonna get an album like that because I'm at a place where I'm finally getting into the point where I'm like, all right, I don't want to do this whole thing alone forever.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you got to be in that place in order to get to be in a relationship. Period.
Yeah.
I
Like,
shouldn't have been in any the last 10 years, and I was and screwed those up. But yeah, when I do it, I'm 39 now. When I do it, I'm gonna do it right, and I'm gonna be done.
that's the basic artist evolution, I feel like. It's like,
Yeah.
usually when people are in relationships in their 20s and, like, getting that height of fame that they kinda, like, crash it and burn
Uh-huh.
it. So at least you didn't crash and burn it, you just
I
soared
wasted some
through.
time, other
Yeah.
people's time, my time. But yeah, I'm at a place now where I'm like, I don't want to do this forever and look up and be 50 and not have kids, and
Yeah.
I want a family at some point. And it's finally getting there.
Mhm.
Well, another thing we were kind of curious about, because obviously we've touched on a lot about, your changes in music, and obviously it's really cool to hear some of that motivation behind it. Uh, but when it comes time to play a concert, how do you put a set list together that you feel like is both fulfilling to you and to the people that are there to see you?
Yeah, that's changing a lot even now.
Mm,
Like at the Bluebird, we didn't play one hit. It was just all the last two records, and then Eldora and Circuit 1943 to end it. Um, Charlie Worsham was actually a big part of that. He was on the Dirks tour, and we were kind of struggling in the beginning, like just feeling like it was a good set and a good show. And Oscar said, "Dude, Charlie's out there. Hit him up. See if he'll come watch a set and see if he can piece it together a little better." So I did, and Charlie was all about it. He's the best, man. And he watched two or three sets and said, "Hey, man, let's try these few different things." And we were playing a lot of the Cowboys and a little bit of the singing record with Fireside and maybe Go Down Singin acoustic. But now he helped us just piece it together where it told a really cool story during the Dirks tour of like where I'm at now, kind of this is where I was, play a couple of those songs. Then we would end it with Eyes on You and drinking beer and bench seat sometimes if Jack was there. Um, but even that's going to go more towards like I may not do any full band of the old stuff. Maybe do that acoustic. That could be fun. Like Eyes on You, Ready Set Roll, Cruise. We even played that live acoustic. I'll never play that full band again. But it's not even my song. But yeah, I kind of want to get to the point where it's just like I want to be very clear with people. It is not going backwards. It'll never go back to that. So the one way to do that live is here's all the new stuff. If you're not going to learn it, then you're going to be playing it. You're going to be listening to a bunch of songs that you're not going to know. So
Mhm.
if you don't want to learn the Cowboys, the singing record, now this Eldora record coming out, yeah, I wouldn't suggest coming to my show because it's going to be that.
Yeah.
I
And then
see an acoustic tour in your future.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I've been loving playing it because all these are written now on a guitar,
Mhm.
and now they're written even better on guitar because the Wyatt McCubbin was in Colorado, and that dude can play.
I've heard great things about him.
He's unbelievable.
And Charlie, I've also heard great things. I've
Oh,
met him once, don't personally know him, but the stories I've heard, like, people admire that guy for
yeah,
a great
and he's
reason.
an
So,
unbelievable human too.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love playing on a guitar. I'll play a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours at night at my house, and I never used to do that. I was like I said, I was partying,
Yeah.
and that's all I wanted to do. And you didn't have to worry about too much when your band's behind you doing all the work. Now it's a lot harder of a set because I'm up there grinding on the guitar most of the time. But the acoustic sets would be. Eric did it at Bank of America. I don't think he had a full band until Carolina.
Mm.
Mhm.
But that's fun. It's really fun, especially if people are aware that that's what it's going to be. They show up knowing that you're going to be playing
Yeah.
new songs. So like I said, if you want to know me, listen to the new albums, and then you'll get a good picture of actually who I am now, and that's what I'm going to be playing live. There's gonna be a lot of acoustic stuff.
You mentioned a couple bands that you've been listening to recently, Flatland being one of them. William Clark Green was actually in here with us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then you had that song with South Hall, which I think was one of my favorite ones on the last
Oklahoma.
album. Do you have any plans to kind of collaborate with any more Texas Red Dirt artists coming up?
Yeah, I'm writing with Cleto in December,
Okay,
so we'll see
nice.
what happens there. I don't know if it'll be a Flatland song or not.
Mhm.
But that would be awesome if we got to write it first.
Yeah.
But I'd love to do something with Flatland. That
Mhm.
would be so fun. We're gonna have a song called Two Tone Trippin' on the Eldora record that Wyatt McCubbin's gonna be on.
Okay.
Who else have I been talking about? I have a song I want to write with Jamie Johnson. Like, damn, it has him all over it.
His new stuff
It's up to him.
his new stuff is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
I can't stop listening to it. I thought I loved him, and like his new stuff is just as good, if not better.
he's not gonna screw anything up.
No, no.
He's an interesting one because it's like almost for a long time people forgot about him or he
Mhm.
went away. It's like, and then he comes back. You can't. That'll never go away.
Yeah.
He's so good. So I have a song I want to write with Jamie. I got to talk to him about it, but that would be badass. There's another. Somebody's
You had Lori
calling me.
McKenna on this album.
Lori.
Yeah.
Lori's on the Go Down Singin record on
Mhm.
4 songs she wrote, 2 songs she's singing on, 1 she's featured on.
Okay, nice.
I've already got a list for this Eldora thing. I'm waiting for Ray Binks to stop calling me. He's calling me about a gun that just got in, so
Okay.
hopefully he's open when I get back to south.
This episode's sponsored by Browning. Maybe it's a Browning. We'll just say it is for
Browning
the sake
gun.
for the sake of the sponsor.
He's got a Browning gun for me. But yeah, I'm looking at this list. There it is. Yeah, Wyatt's on there. Foy Vance. If you
Okay,
ever heard
yeah.
of Foy, he's gonna be featured on a song called Tall Grass. I wrote a song called Kill the Boy, Kill the Kid, Kill the Boy. I think I'm gonna call it Appalachia. I wrote that with Drake White last week. I don't think that's gonna go on this record. I don't think it fits, but that gave me the idea, like post Eldora, being in Carolina so much this past week, to write an album called Appalachia and go to the mountains of Carolina and actually write a record.
Mhm.
I don't know if Drake would sing on that or not. Probably not type thing, but yeah.
I love the planning.
I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
I also like kind of it's almost like immersion writing where you feel like, okay, if I'm going to write a song about
Yeah.
Appalachia, then I'm going to go there.
Yep.
Is that something that you
100%.
Okay.
I don't write in town anymore except for the last I wrote with Tanner Usray.
Mhm.
That'd be cool to do a song with him.
Mhm.
Both songs we wrote they wouldn't be right for 2 guys to sing them.
Love
But
songs.
yeah, we gotta write something different for that. But I'd love to do a song with Tanner. I love Tanner. He's an unbelievable singer. But yeah, I'm gonna go to Carolina to do it because I wrote the Cowboys record in Montana, Alabama, and Massachusetts. Or Massachusetts was with Lori, so that was a singing record. But yeah, I don't write many of these songs in town anymore. It's mostly writing retreats.
Now your fireside session that you just put out, Haw River, I think was my favorite like re-recording on it. But what inspired like the one take? Was it actually a one take type deal?
Yeah, they
or-
were all one take. Might have taken us 8 tries to get the right one,
Yeah.
but we didn't edit
one
anything.
take, yeah.
That was an interesting song because I was walking off my bus in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was my first ever sold out amphitheater show.
Mhm.
And walked on the bus, and this little girl runs up to us. She said, "I'm Kayla from Haw River, North Carolina." I looked at Blake. I was like, "I don't know what that means, but we're right in Haw River."
Mhm.
And that night, walking to Jimmy's in Wrightsville, which is we wrote that in Carolina, which makes sense. He said, "Dude, we should make it like a murder ballad song, a murder ballad." And I was like, "Hell yeah, that's a good idea." Okay, so we started going over it. We wrote it the next day. But we looked up the history of Alamance County, North Carolina, Haw River, the Sissepaw tribe, they're gone now. And we wrote the real story. I got the idea from 1923, the TV show about this priest is just beating the hell out of these women,
Mhm.
these Native American girls, and sing about it. It happened. Like, we keep shying away from our history in this country. It's like, you can't fucking make it go away.
Yeah.
I'm going to sing about what really happened and the truth of what happened to these people. And they're gone now. But that song is nasty. and the vibe of it's cool. I was listening to Fireside Sessions on the way here because I haven't heard it yet since it's been out, like on Spotify or
Yeah.
Apple. And yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet, so I'm excited to hear it. I've heard it obviously through the mixing process, but it'd be good to hear that.
Yeah. I think my next question is what is your definition of success? Because, you've had the radio success, so when you put out these new projects and these new albums coming up, what are you defining your success on? Is it the radio? Is it the streams? Is it just feeling like yourself again? Or
Yeah, you want this to be heard. You want people to get excited about it. I remember when I saw a quote from Stapleton when he put out the Traveler record. He said, "Well, there goes my country music career," because I was in the middle of the bro country thing. It turns out he was wrong. Luckily for all of us.
yeah.
But I was talking to somebody about that in Utah when I was in elk hunt this year, and she said it, and I was like, "Damn, I'm using that because it's such a well thought." And she said, I told her the answer to that question. She said, "It sounds like you don't want to be well known, you want to be known well." And I was like, "Shit." That was well said. So that would be it. It's like, and if it does become something big, cool. You want as many people to sing your songs as possible, especially when I love these new songs so much more than anything I've done. Yeah, I just want people to know who I am through my music and know that it's not fake. It's just, and you're going to hear that. You're already hearing that with these last two records. It's like, I don't care if I'm the most popular artist in the world. I just want people to really care about what I'm doing and know that, damn, these songs were written really well. And I want to hear these songs in 50 years. And I don't know, the stuff I was doing before, it was not going to stand the test of time. And
I'm sure it makes it easier for you to stand up and play too. Like you don't feel like you're being somebody else. You're up there as yourself singing your newer stuff that you've got.
I saw a video of me at Red Rocks in 14 with Dirks, and it was making me laugh because I was like doing the wave thing, trying to get people fucking going at Red Rocks. I was probably second up or first up, and I was just looking at it like, man, what was I doing? And now I don't do a whole lot. I kind of walk around the stage and toss beers out sometimes, but it's me and a guitar for the most part. And I respected that about Eric the other night in Carolina. It was like, he didn't need to put on a show. He was the show when he was on stage. And I don't need to go up there and do crazy stuff. Let's get up there and with guitar and really, really entertain people with great music.
We were just talking about, before we started recording, we both went and saw Sturgill at Bridgestone, and his stage, it's an arena, and his stage was just, some lights, and there was really no visual supplement to it whatsoever, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
'Cause 3.5 hours nonstop.
And he's just
all him.
And he didn't want to make it about anything except for the music that he was playing.
He didn't even say hi or address the crowd till an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
really.
It was awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I think there's some artists that need and want the big show, and I think there's absolutely a place for that. I'm just not that dude.
Yeah.
So why was I trying to be? I don't know. We talked a lot about that, but for me to go up, one of my favorite shows I've ever been to was, I started going to shows again, which is another thing. I was like, I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to see anything else. I want to do my own thing. It's like, well, what you're doing sucks, so fix it. And I hate saying that because there was a lot of great songwriters and good people that helped that happen.
Yeah.
And they did their thing. They're just fucking good at that. They were just doing something that I was pushing that I shouldn't have been pushing. But it was Ryan Bingham at Red Rocks. So I wanted to see a show at Red Rocks before I played it again. And it changed everything for me. Like, even some of the drum things he did, I brought to my band. I was like, how do we make our own version of this? But the thing I love most about the show was every show I've seen or played at Red Rocks or seen on video and stuff, there's huge video walls, there's a huge stage. And Ryan didn't have any of that. He just had carpets down, he had the band risers behind him, and then just his big feather in his hat logo lit up on the rock behind him. It's like, that's what Red Rocks is. You should be able to see that rock back there.
Yeah.
And he did it as simple as you can, and it was like, that is it. So it sounds like the same thing as Sturgill.
Yeah.
Which is weird because there are going to be some fans that go to a show like that and feel like, I feel like I didn't really get to see a show. And then vice versa, flip side of things, kind of like I guess how we were with Sturgill. It's like that was I wish
Yeah.
more artists would do something like that. Just focus on the main thing at hand.
Yeah,
So,
we've had a lot of talks about what we're going to do next year for our set, and it's like we don't need to do a whole lot. Let's
mm,
just keep it as simple as possible, and make it about the music because the music's there now. Why would we do it? Why would we have all these lights and lasers to try to figure out how to entertain? The entertainment should be the songs.
mhm,
And for us, that's where I am, and I don't think it should be that for everybody. You're not going to go
right.
see Lady Gaga just sit there with a guitar
Yeah.
with no lights and all that. She could probably do that because she's unreal, but that's not her show.
Mm.
I was just saying also I saw Post Malone last week. That was a lot of production. Also a fantastic show. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, Zach has a lot going on too. Zach's
Yeah.
got a big video wall behind him, but he still figured out a way to make it him.
And I think that's all it really comes down to.
Yeah.
It's each artist is their own thing. So
Yeah,
it's
the
just
video
doing
wall can be important, especially for stadiums, because a lot of people you can't
See.
we're, a little,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
that big on stage. So having the video wall is, I think, actually huge for that, just so you can see up close. But when you're up there, he's not sitting there running around going crazy. He's up there
Mhm.
singing his ass off.
Let's transition we're almost done. So let's transition to kind of non-country music stuff.
Sure.
Let's go to your football career.
Oh, yeah.
How accurate is the show Blue Mountain State to what college football is like?
Oh my god, I watched like a couple episodes of that. I don't remember how that show went,
So
but
it's an absurd exaggeration of what I would assume.
Yeah.
I
would be
remember
a
it was
college,
goofy.
Yeah, college locker room.
I didn't party a lot in college.
Okay.
I saved that for after college.
Yeah.
So I took it real seriously. I don't know about the Blue Mountain State thing, but it was a lot. It was a lot of work. It was straight up football for me in my life. That's all I cared about. And I was a really good player till I got hurt. I was freshman year, special teams, sophomore year, nickel package, had a hell of a back half. Going to my junior year, I was one of the guys, and I was real good. Had really good coaching at that point. Butch Davis came in. Chuck Pagano was our D coordinator, and he had me playing the best football I ever played.
Mhm.
In the first game, I got hurt, and I'm done for the year. Tried to come back from that, and I wasn't the same player. And then my dad had just died, so I was just all over the place. But I took football seriously, and I had a shot in the league, and that just didn't work out. I was a good enough player before I got hurt. I wasn't after. So all three of my backups, I think, were drafted in the first 2 rounds of the draft. So it was like, fuck,
Jeez.
I could have done this. But during that year that I got hurt was when I took a lot of time I was bored. You're rehabbing, but you're
Mhm.
not really part of the team.
There's a younger artist coming up, Tucker Wetmore, kind of
Yeah.
has a very similar story to you,
Really?
but he's just starting out. Yeah. He got hurt.
He was a football guy?
The football guy got hurt and then just was like, I need a sign to do something else and just started playing country music. So
I hear
I'm
a
like,
lot of that.
that's a good
Riley
one.
was
Yeah.
quarterback. Sam was a quarterback. Lee Bryce, I think, played at
Oh, actually, I
Clemson.
don't know if he was a quarterback, but I know he played football.
Yeah, I was a linebacker. I don't belong on the offensive side of the ball.
Is there a moment that stands out in your college career, even before that you could close your eyes and envision right now?
Well, getting hurt was horrible.
Well,
I
yeah.
remember when that happened. It was
Mhm.
just like I knew immediately my ankle was gone. And it was just sucked because it was just like I worked so hard to get to this point, and it just got ripped away from me in one play.
Yeah.
But then I did come back my senior year. Like I said, I wasn't the same player, but I ended up playing the Duke game. Was our last game of the year, and it was my first kind of opportunity to actually get back and play. And I played a hell of a game and helped us actually win the game at the end. It was just felt good to actually be able to help the team again.
Mhm.
So that was a moment. And my brother played at Duke, so we were at Wallace Wade Stadium there in Durham, and to help the team win a game felt like, fuck. Finally, I could at least show, like, guys, I wasn't all here, but I wasn't dead.
Right.
So that was a really cool way to end my career. And
Mhm.
then the last game of the year, we played West Virginia in the bowl game there, same stadium we just played with Luke. And so that was cool to be back in that
Yeah.
stadium. Like, damn, I don't know how many people would have played football in that stadium and played the show. I don't know if that's ever happened. So that's cool. But, yeah, that was walking off the field. And another guy I'm a fan of is Charles Wesley Godwin. He's awesome.
Mhm.
West Virginia guy. And every fucking night I'll play Country Roads because that was the last song I heard walking off the field because West Virginia beat us in the last minute thing in the bowl game. So last game I ever played, I lost to West Virginia.
But you play that song?
Yeah, it's kind of like just a little bit of a This was part of my life.
Okay.
Like, it
And
hurts
yeah,
so good is what
it
I always
hurts so
say. Yeah.
good, but it did lead into my career that I'm in now.
Mhm.
mhm,
So yeah, I'll play that sometimes. And it was one of the first songs I ever learned to play guitar.
yeah.
So
Last question before we move into some rapid fire is you have your dog here who's very cutely laying on the floor. I heard that he is a master hunter. Is that
mhm.
correct? What does that mean exactly? Can you explain?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different field trials and tests for dogs.
Mhm.
And where I wanted to get him, you have to pass 6 master tests, which means you have to not screw up anything on whatever test it is for that day of testing. And so he passed 6. He was 6 for 6. He's a hell of a bird dog. And so he's 3.5 now. He's probably been in training for 2 years of his life, and which I've gotten used to having him now, and I'll have him forever now. He's done with his training, but he could go past master hunter to start winning ribbons and stacking ribbons and field trials and stuff. But I don't care about field trials. I just want him to be a great bird dog.
Yeah.
So we got to that point. There's another hunter test that he could pass. I don't look at him stretching. Oh,
Yeah,
he's a good
he
boy.
hears us talking about him.
He's a good boy. Are you a good boy, Jack? Hey, Jack, come here. Get up here.
He's a great podcast dog.
Get your
'Cause
stretch
Yeah,
on.
just
I haven't even
chilling.
known that he was
Hey,
here,
come
really.
here. Get up here. He's tired. Nope. Up here. Come here.
Got to get in the shot.
There he goes.
Aw.
Aw.
Good boy. But yeah, he passed that, and now I'm done. Go back down. Go to bed.
Good.
Yeah, I'm done sending him back to training. I got to the point I just want my dog.
hmm
Nice. Okay, well,
Well,
good.
I have to ask about Survivor because you nearly won Survivor
Yeah.
Nicaragua White. So excuse me, I said white right there. It's because I'm so excited about asking. I used to be a huge Survivor fan.
Okay.
So what was it like being a part of that show? Is reality TV like it looks on television, or is there
I
a
mean,
little
I think that's the most real show you could do. I mean, sure, there's other ones, but it's not they get the drama, but what we were doing was very real.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had rice and 2 cups of rice for breakfast and dinner every day. But I was 0-6 when it came to the immunity challenges. Like, if you go home, I didn't win one of those. I don't know. I just wasn't motivated. It's like, if I go home, whatever, I get to have a steak. But the food challenges, I was 6-0.
Mhm.
So that was my motivation. I wanted food so bad. But it was a real show. Yeah. It's like they'll ask questions in the beginning. There was a girl named Brenda on there. They tried to, make it look like we were a thing. Producers are, so what's up with you and Brenda? I'm like,
Yeah.
nothing. I'm fucking starving out here. We're nasty. Nothing. I'm not thinking about anything but food.
Yeah.
So that was the drama part of it that they try to get out of people. And
Mhm.
I was probably pretty bad. The producers didn't like me very much because I didn't give them much. It's like, I tried to stay away from drama as much as I could. I don't know how I made it to the end. Like, I did some crazy shit that just didn't make sense looking back. But like, the kid that won it, he should have won it. Like, he earned it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a real show. It was a tough show. I think it's less days now. But I mean, when I came back from that, I had a full beard, looked emaciated, and I had my buddy's an Army Ranger backpack in the airport. I think it was in Charlotte. And this little girl walks up to me and she said, "Thank you so much." And I was just like, "For what?" She said, "Thank you for your service to our country." And I just kind of nodded my head and kept walking. But I'm sure I looked like a POW.
Yeah.
That was one of the funny stories. And then Miami the night before they flew me home. Like, you could get food at that point, but you're so fucked up in the head, only from 40 days, which I can't imagine. Like, these POWs you hear about that are
Yeah.
years in that come back, they got to be fucked for life. But I was walking to the hotel room and there was somebody laid out their tray of food in the hallway like they do. And instead of waiting or going down and get my own, I grabbed it and took it in the room and started eating it. Like, you just wanted food so bad. You go to the grocery store, you're just looking up the walls like, oh my God, I can have all this. I think the first bill we had was $300 at the grocery store. My mom was like, calm down. Like, we can come back. We were allowed to come back.
So it really was Survivor. That's good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good to know. I had
It's
to
a
ask
real
about
deal.
Yeah,
that.
of
So.
course. And it's interesting how, you keep finding yourself in the spotlight, even from like college football to Survivor to like your country career. It's
Fucking
like,
Bachelor.
yeah.
Did that
Yeah,
one
The
too.
Bachelor. I did watch
That was
that.
just
I did watch that show.
That was
too.
brutal. Yeah, I've done a pretty good job lately, I feel like, of finally making it about what it should be about.
Mhm.
I don't know if I necessarily, like, even Survivor, I didn't want to be that guy that like. That's why I was a NASCAR guy. I was because I was writing songs at that point, but I didn't want to be the songwriter. I'd seen it on The Bachelor where it's like they're singing songs to the girl, and then they moved to Nashville to try to be a star. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be about the music from the beginning. It took a roundabout way to get there, but I feel like there's weird drama that's happened in my life that I didn't necessarily ask for. But now I think it's like just separating yourself from being the party guy and doing that. I don't do that a whole lot anymore. If I'm doing it at my farm or doing it around, not in the middle of Broadway.
Yeah. It comes with age and just
Yeah, I'm getting older
experience.
now.
Yeah.
It's just so now it's just like I just wanted to be about the music, and that's kind of what we've talked about, which makes sense.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, we'll wrap up with rapid fire questions brought to you by Browning. So let's start with, what is your favorite sad country song?
Don't Close Your Eyes.
Keith Whitley. Great choice.
It's about as sad
Hunting?
as it gets.
Sorry. Hunting or fishing?
Hunting.
Do you have a specific kind of hunting you like?
Elk hunting with a bow.
Okay.
Somewhere in the mountains.
Sick.
Yeah.
What are you doing when you're not playing music?
Elk hunting with a bow.
I assumed that would be.
That's
I
happening.
do love
Okay.
fly fishing, but yeah, I would hunt before I'd choose that.
I don't know how many times that's been the question after hunting or fishing, and people say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to ask those a little
Or
bit.
duck hunting with Jack. He's a great bird dog.
What's your favorite food?
Ooh, I love a good steak with mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. God, you can't beat it.
Studio recordings or live performances?
Oh my God. I'd say live performances because then you get to see it really come to life. Yeah.
What's your daily driver?
Right now it's a 1985 Chevrolet K10 pickup truck. I drove my hunting truck today. The K10 was out of gas, but yeah, it's a 1985 Chevy K10. I have a newer, like a 21 regular 2500 HD diesel, but that's out in Montana because I've been out there all summer. So I'll go get that, and I'll finally have like a newer truck that I know is going to start every time. But right now, I'm living and dying by the 85.
And last one is, sad country songs and blank make you happy.
I feel like whiskey's the obvious answer.
We have a shirt that says that.
Songs and whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get a whole lot happier than that. If I'm sitting around a fire and like going over these new songs or learning the singing record even better, if I have that and
what kind of whiskey do you like?
I got a barrel of Jack Daniels that I bought in 2015. I've still got some bottles from that.
Nice.
Pour that over ice. That's hard to beat. If I'm just learning songs or even listening to songs, we listened to a lot of Jordan Davis last night, and God, he doesn't miss. He's got his shit locked in. So, yeah.
Cool.
I'll add one more.
Okay.
Country Music Survivor. Let's say that they did, an only country music artist version of Survivor. Would you take you or The Field? Any other country artists out there you think that would be decent?
I feel like there has been a period of time where probably earned. I'm not sure I was very well liked in this town. So I think they might kick my ass out pretty quick. I'm going to take The Field.
Take The Field. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and excited for more new music.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this one done, and we'll move on to Appalachia. I'm already talking about 2 records from now, and Eldor's not
That's
even
great.
recorded.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
so
so much.
much.
Easy. Thank you, guys.